What's up, friends? I was gonna say Saturday, it's Sunday morning. I have work in a couple hours. This past week has been a freaking doozy. So I'll talk more about that as we get into this video. We're gonna train a little bit of shoulders. We're gonna do some bis and tris, and it's gonna be a fun workout. Like I said, I had a crazy week, so I'm gonna talk about why it was crazy and how I'm kind of working training around the craziness. We're gonna just start warming up a little bit and execute la plan. All right, we're gonna have some real talk right now. I just rewatched the clip and I feel like I look like a pregnant lady in like a maternity outfit.
A maternity outfit?
Isn't that what girls wear?
Okay, but that is not.
This shirt is just like, I look like I look like a maternity dad from like the 80s right now. All right, so I'm gonna be doing some pin presses, sets of 5. So we'll do 5 at 6, 5 at 7, 5 at 8, probably a 5 at 9, then 2 back offs at whatever set I use for my 7. But crazy week, really busy with appointments. I had to do blood work on Monday, had a doctor's appointment, and then I ended up having a tattoo on Wednesday. So I missed 2 days of jiu-jitsu, which really frustrates me. The tattoo, absolutely love it. But with that, obviously I miss a day of training for the tattoo. I typically sit pretty long so we can get a lot done. And then I put Tegaderm on it, which basically is a easy way to heal it. The Tegaderm sits on for about a week. And then once I take it off, all I have to do is just clean it and moisturize it pretty much each day. And then it's good to go. Usually I will train, I kind of work around some of the movements so it doesn't irritate it too much. But I have in the past, just gone right into training, and I haven't used Tegaderm, and it has gotten a little bit irritated or infected. So I look at it as just a way to modify training, maybe take it a little bit lighter, switch up the movements, still get some training in. So I'm not just completely taking off, but I also want the tattoo to heal, and I don't want my money to be a waste. So that was that. Then after the tattoo, I started feeling kind of like a pain in my left thigh. And there was like a bump there, so I thought that it was just a ingrown hair or something like that. Well, ended up getting worse, ended up swelling really bad, and obviously being red and irritated and very painful. And then I started kind of developing fever-like symptoms, which I thought would go away. They didn't go away. So then I drive to urgent care, and I ended up having basically cellulitis randomly in my leg, which sucked. And I got it a few years ago, so I kind of knew something was off, especially when I started feeling like achy and fevery. On top of that, having a tattoo, like a fresh wound, immune system's gonna be pretty low. So that kind of set me back a ways a bit with my training. So the whole point of that being is today I'm taking 2 days and kind of just consolidating a little bit of work by taking the primary movement, which would have been a pin press from one day, putting it into my day where I can do some arms. I'm also working around my leg kind of thing right now. I don't want to irritate it too much while the antibiotics are working. So taking out squat variation because I don't want to put my knee sleeves or anything around that area that could possibly make the infection worse. And that's just a long story short, but you guys are here for the long format content, which you seem like you're enjoying, which I'm very appreciative of. Very appreciative. Is that the word? Appreciative of?
Oh, yes.
Which I appreciate a lot.
Appreciate.
You guys got any of those words that mix you up? What's your word? You definitely have one. I forget hers, but she has one that every time she says it, like, she can't, is it associate? No, not associate.
No, I don't know.
Anyway, you know those words that really stump you. So we're going to get right into these. I'll show you some sets, some reps. We'll talk back and forth, do some bis and tris together, which the last bicep video that you saw was just biceps. So I'm here to compare the two with exercise selection, difference in the pump, overall feeling, and hopefully we'll get out of here so I can get to work on time. And there's a lot more other videos that are coming out. Some of the days that I did train, I just took snippets of my exercises and I'll splice them out throughout some of the future videos. So just warming up with the barbell. Typically I'll just do some band pulls between some warm-up sets. So just empty barbell, do like 15 to 20 of these band pulls. I like doing an overhand grip, flip it, underhand grip.
Try to reverse it.
Huh?
You said flip it.
Flip it?
It's a song. Actually, no.
What the hell is she talking about? Twist it, pull it,
Bop it.
bend it, bop it. Alright, so last video, when I was doing pin presses, I kind of gave the explanation of why I do them, why I like them. One thing that I'm thinking about with these today is once you have that bar and you start pressing it up, once the bar gets in your sign of vision, you want to start getting your head through. Okay, that's going to really help lock the press out faster. It's going to get those shoulder blades to retract and force the lockout. So I see a lot of people that they press and they kind of wait till here to then get their head through. As I'm pressing, right as it starts going up, my cue is to start driving that head through. So you guys may watch some of your sets on video, and that's a great tool, is using your phone to see when are you starting to get your head through on the press. Are you even getting your head through on the press? Because it's going to be way more efficient, right? We don't want to press backwards, but we just want to have straight line. Okay, starts here, boom, ears in line with bicep. My wrist is stacked on my elbow, which is stacked on my shoulder. Really good base of support. The analogy I always use is if you were to hold a plate out, let's just say in front of you, versus over top of your head, which one could you hold longer? Probably right above your head. And that's the same thing we want to do with this barbell press. We've been pressing, we do strict press, push press, pin press, so about 3 times per week frequency with the variations, and it seems like things are working. I think Jordan's press is getting a lot better. She has a strongman comp in April, which she's actually gonna smoke. She's already doing comp weight, so any of you ladies out there who are not watching this video, watch out. But this is gonna be 225, so we'll hit this for a set of 5, and one thing I need to work on is not letting the start position come out in front of me. The last one I did, I kind of went to my toes a little bit, so I want to make sure that I'm nice and lined up between every rep. And that's what's nice about using these pins, is it's going to show any technical weaknesses. Now, if the pins weren't here, say I'm repping something out, what I may notice is if they weren't here, I start to press out a little bit in front as I get tired or fatigued, or if I rush my reps, and that over time is going to make me less efficient and lose energy. So that's what I'm thinking when I'm doing these and trying to get my technique better. All right, 225. I actually felt like a really good set. I felt like I was locked in, dialed in. Hands are gonna be a little bit more narrow. Really utilize the triceps, good front rack position. Feet are a little bit wider, toes slightly flared out for a nice base support. Abs are tight, butt squeeze. As soon as it starts coming up, my chin's out of the way. As soon as I can see that bar, head gets through. So use those pointers, hopefully they help. All right, we got 240 for 5 reps, RPE 9. As you can see, I'm naked. Not literally, because that would be disgusting. But no wrists, no elbows, no belt, no lifting shoes. Because this is a variation, I want to find ways to, not overdo it with the intensity. And typically, when I wear the belt, when I wear the shoes, the knee sleeves, yada, 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 snort the ammonia, blare the heavy metal, that increases my systemic arousal. And we're not looking to do that yet. So even these first several weeks, kind of just been having like some normal music, I'll gear up a little bit when I have to, but I want to save that energy for as we get further down the road with programming, when I really want to turn that on. Because if you're always hyped up, ready to go, smash your face through a wall, snorting ammonia, like just brain blasting yourself, you're gonna hit a wall a lot sooner than not. And I think the more you advance in your training career, you have to learn when and how to use those tactics properly to really get the most out of them and be around for the long haul. All right, 240. Let's not embarrass ourselves here, folks. Let's not embarrass ourselves here. First, you always got to check the weight is correct, because I've done that copious amounts of times. All right, grip is set. Whew. All right, that was pretty solid, pretty solid. Jordan's looking at me. She's like, you probably get no more. You know what, Jordan? I know I could. And I appreciate that, because your coaching eyes are getting better. But I'd rather leave a little wiggle room instead of like missing or failing. There really is nothing worse than making that jump and then like not being able to finish the set. So I'm more of a fan of take the small wins. I don't think I've done 240 for a set of 5 pin press lately. So I'm cool with that win. We'll back it down. Probably go 225, 2 back offs, 5 reps. And I'll move on to some bis and tris. All right, so first bicep tricep superset is we're gonna do seated easy bar curls. Now I know you're thinking it's partial range of motion, and I'm okay with that, right? I like mixing it up. And with these, it's kind of like a compound-ish bicep exercise in the sense that I can go pretty heavy with these, and it's just a variation of a bicep curl. I'm going to superset with easy bar skull crushers because I already got the bar set up, and I really like skull crushers, and it's something that I can also push a little bit heavier versus more isolated exercise I'll do after this. And I've been back and forth with whether or not I want to bring the bar behind my head, which I've done in the past, or do I want to just touch it to my forehead and press back up. Now, due to my pec, having the issues in the past, when I do get that bigger stretch behind my head, I can feel a little bit of something in the pec, and also I just lose a little bit of control. So when I'm doing these, I'm probably going to opt for the forehead version of them, just because it doesn't hurt my chest as much, and it allows me to have a little bit more control, especially over my elbow, right? I want to make sure that my elbow almost stays in a fixed position the whole time, and I'm really just working that extension of the elbow rather than kind of letting my whole arm come down with it. So I'll probably do 3 or 4 sets of these, and I'll hit the bicep, maybe rest, 30, 60 seconds, then I'll hit the tricep. These aren't a superset that's gonna win me like crazy, and since we're also working the opposite muscle groups, I'm able to hit it a little bit faster than if I was doing a different superset which required a little bit more rest or slightly more similar muscle groups that would make me rest a little bit longer to not be as fatigued. All right, so we got our last set coming up. Obviously, my extensors are gonna be stronger than my flexors. So I'm actually sticking with the same weight, but I'm just doing a little bit more reps with the skull crushers than the seated bicep curl. I like the seated bicep curl because it really just primes that bicep, gets you a little bit more strength. And obviously being in strength sports, I feel like specifically for strongman, this is just a nice variation to do because often we find ourselves in like weird lapping situations, whether that be with a sandbag, a keg, or even like a log or like a Conan's wheel. So I'm stretching it a little bit with specificity here with strongman, but I feel like it's a little bit more applicable to that versus somebody who's a bodybuilder, right? So doing these, I'll finish the skull crushers and I'll move on to another superset. But I like using that easy bar for any sort of wrist pain or tendonitis. It ends up helping me a little bit. And then doing the skull crushers to my forehead, using that false grip. I don't know if I talked about that, but I like doing a false grip instead of my thumb around the bar. So we'll crush these, talk a little shop, and then we will move on forward. Ooh, shout out Raspberry Ape, man. A lot of great exercise on his Instagram. So got this variation, saw him doing it, wanted to try it. That was definitely like an RP 9. We're always controlling that eccentric too, especially somebody who's had some tendon ligament issues. Eccentrics really gonna help strengthen that over time. Nice controlled reps. So let's go to some skull crushers. This part's a little awkward. Oh yeah, nice. All right, we're done with those. Now we're gonna move on. I'm gonna do alternating dumbbell curls, no fat grips, and then I'm trying to think of what I wanna do for triceps. It's a little bit different. All right, so before we get into the bicep, tricep, I actually had BJJ promotions yesterday. Pretty cool. So I got 2 stripes on my blue belt, and I'm happy with that because I took some time off with the bicep tear and then rotator cuff tear. So I probably trained for several months after I got my blue belt. Then I had to take some time off, and now I'm back in it, full swing, fired up, absolutely loving it. It's great for me physically and mentally just to roll around, get that energy out. If you guys haven't done jiu-jitsu, highly recommend it just for exercise, for just getting a little bit better with kinesthetic awareness, right? Feeling a little bit more athletic, self-defense purposes, and on top of that, just a community of people. It's a great skill to have. But with that, you can easily get caught up in comparing yourself to others, right? A lot of the guys that were blue belts when I was a blue belt are now purple or higher than purple, right? But you have to remember it's your journey, okay? And it's easy to compare yourself to others. I find myself doing it. I know other people do it. It's just in our human nature to do so. But I was thinking, that's with anything, right? Whether it's in your relationships, whether that's in your workplace, whether that's with training or anything, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. And you have to remember where you're at in this journey and making the progress that you can make for your specific journey. So kind of just something I was thinking about, because as happy as I was a little bit bogged down. But that got me excited. That got me pumped up, knowing that if I just keep putting in the work, I'll get to where those guys are at. And, you know, taking that break off made me realize that. So sometimes breaks are necessary, and they usually give you a lesson that you didn't know was coming when you return. But doing some alternating bicep curls. I already did a bicep exercise, so a little bit more fatigued. The pump is a lot stronger with these. I'm getting that full range of motion, and I'm probably gonna work, we'll try 35s for the next set. And then when I'm doing these triceps, I'm doing single arm, I guess just extensions, but I'm using the palm facing grip versus the pronated grip. It's a lot harder. I have an embarrassingly low amount of weight on, but it's a really good stimulus, not something that I do often. So obviously it's a novel stimulus, and my body is, you know, having to work for it, which I like, because you don't want to keep doing the same thing. Typically I do a ton of push downs. I've done push downs since I was a freaking baby. I was pushing down on that umbilical cord. So, you know, my body's had enough of push downs for right now. So switching it up. So let's grab these 35s. Looking for 8 to 10 reps a piece here. All right, so that was 20. I feel like I can go up, probably 40s for the next set and stay there at that weight. But now we're gonna do these push downs. I don't know if you guys can see it. So I'll rotate the cameras a little bit. So grabbing them here. Oh man, oh, cable's off. That's step number one, make sure the cable's on the track. All right, here we go. Going down, we're just gonna, ooh. Switch sides, switch sides. That is like a really deep pump, man. All the way up in that head of the tricep right there. I like it. All right, probably go up with both exercises, so I'll probably add either a 5 to that or a 10, and then we'll go up to 40, 45 for the curls, superset, and then go from there. Oh boy, here we go. Wow. Okay, you know, if I start doing this thing, that we're getting somewhere. The pump The pump is strong with this one, will be one. See if we can add a little bit of weight to these. I need a little bit of rest. That last set was a legit set, but one thing we've been working on, and hopefully as it starts, I'll document the process, is Jordan and I want to build a barn dominium. So right now we're going through the township and we're trying to figure out what we need to do to start building barn dominium, which will include the garage gym and then bedroom, bath, kitchen, all that good stuff. On the top part, bottom part will be basically spare bedroom, bathroom, etc. So that'll kind of be phases 2 of Barn de la Swole, where I'll be able to have all my equipment in there, have more space to do stuff similar to like a Jiu-Jitsu, gym home, but not as big, but similar concept idea where I'll be able to record, have like the gym setup studio, possibly office with the podcast set up. And then that way, when my friends want to come in, we can do collaborations there. And then also, have a place to live too, or have a place where people can come and stay. So really excited about that. 2024 is going to be a big year. Like I said, brand new chapter. I'm going to be 31 soon, and my 20s was devoted to chasing my dreams of having a physical gym, which turned into not only a physical gym, but the online presence, which I never expected. And then doing that, having that amazing, time, then realizing what's the next chapter look like. I'm a guy, when I, die, or before I die, I want to look back and be like, man, I did a lot of things. I met a lot of great people. I've learned a lot. I've made a ton of mistakes, but also, I learned from those mistakes and did some really awesome things. So wherever you're at in life, and I know this is kind of turning into like a life talk here, it's okay when things change, right? It's okay to know when to take a pivot, or when you've realized that you've come to the end of that road and you have to figure out the bridge, right? What's the bridge? What's the next thing you're gonna take to that new destination? And it's scary, 100%, it is scary. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of self-doubt, a lot of unknown, but I think that's where a lot of growth comes, and where you really level up as a human, and that new chapter is just very excited. So get excited. And maybe some of you guys are watching this, maybe you want to quit your job, or maybe you want to add in a side hustle, or maybe you want to do something else with your life, or maybe you have to because something happened. So embrace those challenges, embrace the adversity, the struggle, and just find the beauty in it. Find the beauty in that chaos. And when you look back, you'll be so grateful for those opportunities, how you handled yourself, and where you ended up. So bought some time. Now we gotta do some extensions and grow these tries to, I would say quadriceps, but there's already quadriceps. So maybe they'll be, whatever the tricep would be, cincoceps. Still feel like these are a little light. I think my body is kind of adjusting. At first when I did them, man, these sucked. Like I was like, dude, I can only do the handle. It's interesting how the body starts to recognize muscle patterns and just starts getting better and recruiting more to adapt to what's going on. I definitely got to add a little bit of weight to those for sure. last exercise, superset, it's gonna be these, I guess it would just be bodyweight skull crushers. So I like doing these. Mike Isertel and I used to do them when he would train with the Dan during the COVID period. A lot of cool videos from back then, check them out on the channel. But I'll do these. I'm probably only gonna do 2 to 3 sets sub-max because it's body weight. So probably leaving 1 to 2 in the tank per set. And then I'm gonna do some concentration curls on the bench over there. But shout out Bells of Steel for this freaking awesome rack. Man, I can't speak highly enough about the company in terms of their customer service, willingness to just send me awesome stuff for Garage De La Swole that I use all the time. This rack is super modular. Once we're probably in Barn De La Swole, I'm gonna add, extensions to here for cables, storage, make this thing freaking insane and stacked and jacked to the gills. So if you guys are looking for some awesome home gym, even light commercial gym use, Bells of Steel has a ton of products, very affordable and very modular. So you can start off with this base, build it over time. It's true to their specs, and even some other stuff you may have from other companies will work on these racks. So really like it, love the way they innovate things. And so far everything that I've gotten, I've really enjoyed. So with these, just making sure we have full range of motion, get as deep as we can. That's a really good stretch. And then we're just pressing up, just like so. Yeah, it burns like crazy. One thing I'm trying not to do is throw my hips back or kind of bend my posture to compensate for getting any extra reps. So it would be the same thing as using body English on certain movements. So with these, keeping it super strict. And it's interesting because when I was doing the skull crushers and warm-ups, going behind my head with the bar, that aggravated my pec, I think just because of the mechanical, motion of it, kind of pressing back and opening up my chest a little bit, where here, I don't find any pain whatsoever. It's super smooth and very direct on the tricep. So I'm stoked to have these. Once again, exercise for the tricep I haven't done in a while. And a lot of people think, body weight stuff, is it worth it? I'd rather use dumbbells or a machine, which they're great too. But point being is don't neglect a body weight exercise for a stimulus at times that may be really beneficial to you. So throwing these in, absolutely love them. All right, now we're gonna bang out some concentration curls. I just like sitting my elbow right in there, letting that bicep and arm hang, squeezing up, nice and controlled. Got about 1 or 2 more sets, and then we're gonna wrap this baby up. But nothing too exciting, nothing too crazy. Just been kind of, talking to you guys throughout this bicep, tricep, shindig, and then we'll close it out soon. However, the partial bros said if you add some partials towards the end or maybe your last set, there's also evidence saying that that will also help with muscular hypertrophy. So they're shaking hands in the middle and I'm in the background going, wow, this is so cool. Both my homies have met and they agreed on something and we're all going to a party. We're going to the gains party. We're going to the jacked and stacked, freaking outrageous freakazoid party, and I'm happy to be there. So, you should join the party too. All right, that's all she wrote today. Pretty simple. I did biceps and triceps, which I actually did like because typically whenever I do just biceps, we get half the pump of the arm. Putting them together I like because you're working, the antagonistic muscle group. So I'm not super fatigued. I'm able to go right into the tricep, smoke the bicep and the tricep out and deliver, pretty respectable pump. This skin is tight and I'm liking it. So if you guys have been enjoying the videos, make sure you like, subscribe. If you guys want equipment, Bells of Steel is freaking awesome. They support me with a lot of stuff. I also have other pieces of equipment. If you guys watch the Garage De La Swole gym tour video, you can see a majority of the stuff. I do still have a ton in storage or other locations that hopefully when we get Barn De La Swole, we will be able to move everything in there. And that's gonna be a really exciting day. I'll make sure to document that process. But on top of that, we'll be at the Arnold. Jordan and I are going down, hanging out with Juji Mufu, Grip Genie booth, and then just walking around, saying hi to people. So if you guys want to throw down at the Grip Genie booth, come say hi. There's going to be a ton of things going on at the Arnold, obviously. But if you have a moment, stop by, check it out, have some fun, talk shop. We'd love to see you guys there. But a ton of different ways to help with monetization of this channel. But it seems like you guys have been enjoying these free flow, longer style vlogs. Just me, being authentic and genuine. This is exactly how the training session went. There's no, special effects. No smoke and mirrors here, and I feel like with the world we live in where everything is overdone right now, whether that's the editing, just the personalities, etc., it's nice to just find somebody you connect with like I connect with you guys. So stick around, and as you can tell, today was more of a chill session. Typically arms are gonna be that way because you can't always be going full blast all the time, right? If you're just blasting, all year round, you're gonna crash. So we gotta blast and cruise our sessions, and that's basically what I'm doing, where on the heavier compound lift days, we get a little bit more amped up, and that's gonna continue to amp up as we get closer to maybe like a testing phase or something like that. But these sessions are a little bit more auto-regulatory, not super fatiguing in terms of systemic fatigue, and, you know, keeping my just arousal a little bit low. If I get too aroused, man, whew, never know what's gonna happen. A lot of weird things can happen if I get too aroused. So we don't want peak arousal right now. But drop a comment down below. Love hearing your guys' comments, seeing what's going on. And if you've been enjoying these videos, give me your feedback and I'll keep trying to make them, you know, better and better within the realm of what I like putting out. So that's all we have today, guys. Stay a lean, mean, strength, health machine. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.